What's up everybody, Jaren Fritz aka Frizzy Visuals coming at you with a Photoshop breakdown / tutorial. I'm currently the creative director for Colorado State Athletics with multiple years of professional sports design and photography experience. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Today, we're breaking down a sports poster I created for our game against CU Boulder. I'll walk you through how I combined all these images into one dynamic and powerful composition. A little context. The Rocky Mountain Showdown between Colorado State and CU Boulder is our school's biggest rivalry. So this poster's purpose is simply generate hype and get our fans excited for the matchup. There's also a little bit of story behind the selection of Nick Clifford as the subject of this poster. He hails from Colorado Springs and started his career at CU Boulder, where he played there for 3 years before transferring here to Colorado State. So not only is he a Colorado native, but also a former Buff. In his first game against his old team last year, Colorado State came out on top, defeating the Pac-12 Buffs on a home court. But this year, Nick and the boys had to make the trip to Boulder to see if they could run it back. Enough yapping, let's start to break this thing down. I knew I wanted to use a picture of Nick, so I scrolled through the first 3 games worth of photos to see what I could use. The good part about taking your own photos as a designer is the ability to shoot for graphics such as this. Normally, you might not even want to save this picture as a photographer, but I know that full body shots outside the course of normal game action are great for making composites. With the image concept in place, the next step was to set the scene. I went through a few different ideas, Nick facing the Welcome to Boulder sign, or standing on a mountaintop with a city below him. But after a bit of workshopping, I landed on the idea of him facing the basketball stadium instead. The only problem was there wasn't a good exterior shot available, like at all. So I opted for an interior shot that featured the video board. Now, opening up the Photoshop file, there are 6 main folders to this piece. We're going to start with folder 1, which is the main background. I threw the image into Photoshop and started getting lethal with GenFill AI. GenFill isn't the most perfect, but it sure does save a lot of time when it comes to creating these intricate composites. I went and tried to remove all of the girls and restore the integrity of the floor and crowd best I could. In doing so, I had to bring in a different picture of the basketball hoop on the opposite end of the floor, as well as create a scorers table video board element to display the logos to really drive home what the idea this is for. That pretty much did it for the background. Some final touches were adding a Gaussian blur to make it look like the picture was taken on a low aperture lens, then a slight green glow addition because go Rams. The next folder was straightforward but required a lot of work. I cut out both the basketball hoop and individual net pieces. I actually found a faster technique for this, so if you want a video on that, just drop a comment down below. I then finish up this layer by doing a low opacity mask of the glass backboard. Now onto the Jumbotron. I got a little freaky with it. I knew I was going to display the game info, so I made it massive, then kicked some of the text and logos to the curb to avoid a cluttered mess. The main piece is the new screen overlay. The title Statement Game is a play on state because we are battling for the best in the state, while also being a statement game for not only Nick, but the entire team. The X factor for making this look realistic is that screen texture overlay I added. To pull all this together, I had to get the lighting just right. I first added a small green glow from the video board, a shadow behind the backboard, and then I amplified the spotlight and colored it gold, because not only is it our secondary color, but I think it's cool, alright? Now onto folder 5, our subject Nick Clifford. Right off the bat, the original image has some heavy amounts of increased texture and clarity through a camera raw filter. This is done to bring out all of the highlights and shadows. I also like to utilize neural filters to top them off and make the subject look a little more glossy. I also added some body shadows and a skin tone adjustment layer, followed up by more intense shadows as if the light was shining directly on him, under his shoes and behind his body to give it that realistic depth. Getting to this point is already a challenge, and honestly it looks pretty good on its own, but when you compare it side by side, no textures and overlays versus with them, it's like going from dial-up to fiber optic. Folder 6 is a mix of the usual overlays I use for every Colorado State graphic, plus some specific lighting tweaks. I'll add them one by one so you can see the progression, but if you want a separate breakdown of this folder, just drop another comment down below. So that's a behind the scenes look at how I made this poster for our game against Colorado. Check out the before image alongside with the final product. Like and subscribe if you learned something from this video. Drop a comment down below what you'd like to see next. Until next time.